Whether you like it or not, the class's rework is coming to Battlefield 2042 in just a few weeks. I wanted to create a breakdown of each specialist within each class and what my class builds are going to look like on each of them. We also have some information, both confirmed and data mined, around the class proficiencies, which I've tried to take into account with my setups. Specifically for the Assault class, weapons are going to be ready to fire after sprinting much quicker than the others, which is a big win for my ridiculously fast-paced playstyle, but potentially will also be provided with 3 additional magazines for Assault rifles. Also, I wanted to reiterate that DICE have already said all Assault characters will have the med pen available, so they can all heal on the move, beneficial for the likes of Mackay and Sundance who may not be around squad and team members all the time. This video is purely subjective and relates to my playstyle or how I see myself approaching each specialist within the Assault category, but I hope that you can take something from it, whether it be trying what I play or with just specific attachments to use on weapons going forward. As we know, the Assault bracket is going to be made up of Mackay, Sundance, Dozer and Zain, so let's kick things off with the speed demon himself, Webster Mackay. Mackay was a toss-up for me between a couple of options in the primary weapon slot, but I think the M5A3 is the best, most versatile choice to run when zipping across the map at breakneck speeds. Primarily, I'll stick to a red dot sight. This is a theme throughout the Assault class, as I expect that most of my engagements will be within relatively close quarters. This also gives me more peripheral vision to spot enemies on the approach, and to be honest, just feels less clunky than some of the longer range sights. In terms of ammunition, typically I alternate between the close combat rounds for attacking objectives or internal spaces like the facilities on Spearhead for example, and the standard extended mags, which gives me a slightly longer range punch and is a bit easier to control. This, in combination with the shortened barrel, I find has worked really well for me to keep up a relatively high rate of fire without losing total control of the weapon, aided of course by either the rattlesnake grip or BCG light grip depending on the distance I'm fighting in. I think that going forward, Mackay is exclusively going to be plated up for me. I want to be more durable in combat whilst also outmaneuvering the opposition, and I'll be taking the trusty frag grenade as my main throwable, but this can definitely be swapped out for smokes depending on how I'm approaching objectives or what map I'm playing on. Sundance also was a choice between 2 weapons, which could be interchangeable again depending on personal preference, but I've decided to stick with the AM40 on them at this stage. I probably play even more aggressively with Sundance than I do with Mackay, so this weapon is really suited for getting up close and personal with the opposition. Again, the red dots as usual are the go-to for me on the AM40. I typically don't look to engage at range with this weapon, so running a red dot really has no drawback for me. The AM40 definitely burns through ammunition though, due to its high fire rate, so I predominantly will just be using the standard extended drum mag to compensate. But if I really want to try my hand at long range shooting, I can swap it out for the high power rounds for that extra range. My underbarrel is essentially all focused on close quarters combat, using the LWG grip for increased movement accuracy as I strafe at enemies, or alternatively the LS1 laser sight for the improved hipfire accuracy. Lastly, on the barrel we actually have a few options. The main attachment I like to go with is the champion muzzle brake to pull that vertical recoil down, but I've been known to stick on the Warhawk compensator to improve all-round recoil control, and even a suppressor if I'm flanking an objective solo. Sundance already has the anti-vehicle capabilities in their kit, the grenade, so adding the C5 into the mix can make them a devastating anti-vehicle buster going forward. Plus, using a smoke grenade to cover advances or slip away behind enemies. In terms of playtime, I've definitely put off using Dozer for the most part, but thinking objectively, the Assault class may give me an incentive to play him with this setup. Using his ballistic shield, I want to play super aggressively with Dozer, pushing into objectives and helping my team by providing protection while we are advancing too. In terms of my primary weapon choice, it was a close call between 2 ARs for me, but I'm leaning towards this one at the moment because I've had more success recently with it. However, an honourable mention needs to go out to the AK-24, which I think is pretty interchangeable and definitely will be better for some on this class as well. Personally, I want to use the M16 with Dozer, as I feel it's a very versatile AR which can be effective in virtually any situation. Again, the red dot is crucial for me as it allows me to play at different ranges easily without jeopardising my vision, but I'm very much a foregrip guy on the M16 for that recoil control. Don't be afraid to swap it out for an underbarrel of your choice if you prefer, or even the laser sight. Lastly, it just has to be the heavy barrel on the front. I'm less focused on flanking with this setup and more about straight up engagements and pushing, so increased range helps overall. Now, I mentioned already that I want to be able to help the team advance, so we're going smoke heavy with our equipment, running both the smoke launcher and smoke grenades. This is so that I can help myself and my team team cover open spaces, which is definitely plentiful in 2042, as well as smoke out objectives to give us a jump on the enemy team. Playing as Zain definitely requires a slightly different approach to some of the faster, more mobile assault specialists, and coupled with his airburst, I think he plays more of a supporting role than an all-out objective attacker. With this in mind, I've tried a build which allows him to play at medium range while assisting teammates from a bit further behind the main offensive line. I also had to get this AR into the classes somewhere because it's really too good to leave out. The SFAR is arguably one of the best weapons in the game at the moment, and again is effective in multiple different situations, which is why I think it's a great fit for Zain. The red dot again is the only sight I go for on the SFAR, but also using the legendary pacifier skin for the unique sight, which amplifies peripheral vision over the base sight. Of course, this does cost Battlefield coins to purchase, but as of right now I would say it's the only cosmetic purchase in the game that can genuinely aid your gameplay, so for me it was worth the cost. For the magazine there's only one real choice, the high power extended drum mag, giving you significantly increased ammo capacity as well as projectile range. In terms of underbarrel attachment, it's again very much down to personal preference, but I tend to stick with the armor piercing rounds to help out my engineer buddies when taking on vehicles. Lastly, I've stuck the Warhawk compensator on the barrel to give me overall recoil control and make my aim a lot tighter at those medium ranges. I also want Zain to be more durable as well, especially if he's going to be coming up against marksman, sniper or utility weapons at slightly longer ranges, so I'm using armor plates to help with that. The grenade slot I'm less worried about on Zain as he has a fair amount of ordnance with both his underbarrel and his airburst, so you can really go with whatever you prefer in that slot. For me, I'm sticking with the frag grenade for now at least. So that about wraps it up guys. Please do give these a try and let me know your thoughts. I want to know whether you like the setups or if there's anything you would change to make them suit your playstyle. Remember, this isn't one size fits all. It's not a blanket approach but rather a baseline for you to tweak and work on to suit how you want to play. The support breakdown will be up next, so look out for that coming very soon, and if you want to see that, feel free to hit the subscribe button. As always though, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks again for your time and I'll catch you all in the next one.